Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. My name is Preston Jacobs, and we are here to talk about some ice and fire. And before we get to the super chats and everything, the I don't know, been thinking about some obscure topics, mainly because eventually got to get there with the fanfic and such. But this is something that I thought about a lot, like many years ago, but and sort of thought, okay, well this has to be the thing going forward. But now that I'm really analyzing it, I'm like, this is a little bit of a problem. I don't know how George is going to handle this, and and I'm talking about Cersei. And people don't talk about this very much, but Cersei in King's Landing has a whole bunch of different characters coming in at once that are going to, add to the mix. And so the by the way, we will get to this, Dragon fans. We will get to this. We will talk about this, but nonetheless, back to Cersei and Tyene. So a number of characters are coming to King's Landing, and they're going to interact with Cersei, and it's going to be interesting. One of them is Lady Nym, and the other is Tyene. And we know that these two characters are heading to King's Landing or have already arrived in King's Landing because this is in the Watcher chapter. Doran says, "Oh, Tyene, I want you to head to King's Landing and get close to the High Septon. And Lady Nym, you're gonna go and finally take that seat, Oberyn's seat on the small council that was promised to him way back. I think even in a Game of Thrones, that Oberyn was supposed to take in A Storm of Swords." And for a long time, okay, Tyene is coming to King's Landing, and I kind of thought, okay, well, she's supposed to dress up. They kind of say, get close to the High Septon. And Tyene says, "Oh, I really like wearing white." And so there's this question, would she appear in King's Landing as that George had the idea that she is going to be a novice? And the reason for this is if you go back to Hota. Well, I know people don't like to read Hota chapters, but the Hota chapter where we meet the Sand Snakes, he meets Tyene Sand for the first. We meet Tyene Sand for the first time, and in this chapter, this is the beginning of A Feast for Crows. And keep in mind, A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons are supposed to be one book, and all of this kind of stuff. Come on, Search of Ice and Fire. There we go. Let me show here. This one, yeah. So we go to this is Hota's description of Tyene. She was sitting cross-legged on her pillow beneath the raised dais where the high seat stood. She rose as they entered, dressed in a clinging gown of pale blue samite and sleeves of myrslate that made her look as innocent as the maid herself. In one hand was a piece of embroidery that she'd been working on, in the other, the pair of golden needles. Her hair was gold as well. Her eyes were deep blue pools, yet somehow they reminded the captain of her father's eyes. Where is the... He describes her again, but I want to say that he describes her innocent, but he describes her as what? Otherworldly? This is... Yes. He's talking to her, and he says, Tyene's voice was gentle, and she was sweet as summer strawberries. Her mother had been a septa, and Tyene had an air of almost otherworldly innocence about her. Okay, so this is George's phrase. Otherworldly innocence. Okay, fine. Now let's go to A Dance with Dragons. Okay. So we're in A Dance with Dragons. Now again, they're bringing up the septa. They're bringing up the otherworldly innocence. And now we go to A Dance with Dragons. And here we are. The meal was served by 3 novices, well-scrubbed girls of good birth, between the ages of 12 and 16. In their soft white woolens, each seemed more innocent and unworldly than the last. Yet the High Septon had insisted that these girls spend no more than 7 days in the Queen's service. So, we're talking, he's using essentially the same language here. Innocent and unworldly. At the beginning of A Feast for Crows, he uses otherworldly and innocent. But nonetheless, like, you just don't use this language very much. You don't use otherworldly, unworldly, without thinking. Plus, it's the same topic. We're talking about the novices and the septas, the faith, the High Septon, the person that Tyene was supposed to get close to from the beginning. So, trying to think, am I going slow here? I don't know if people are complaining here, but so so everything's fine. You could say, okay, Tyene's going to appear as a novice, but the problem is that the novices are between the ages of 12 and 16. And Tyene Sand is 23. She is a friend of Ariane Martell. They are of an age. And so are we supposed to believe that Tyene Sand, at 23, is going to fool everyone into thinking that she's 16? And isn't that, not very realistic? I mean, it's just a bit far. Like, I understand that George does a lot of weird stuff with like recognition of people and people in disguise and everyone being fooled by each other and people not recognizing their siblings and all sort of stuff with recognition. But one of the things I just can't get past is the fact that Tyene Sand is 23 years old and she's supposed to be passing as a 16-year-old and everyone's supposed to buy it. Certainly the High Septon and all of these septas who spend time with these young girls constantly. It's one thing to have people that like are never around children and never around young people, and maybe they'd have a tough time discerning. But when you're talking about like septas who are around novices constantly, like, wouldn't they know what a 16-year-old is supposed to look like? In fact, the Elaine chapter where she comes down the mountain, you've got this situation where Elaine is acting just 1 year different in age, and already because of like, breasts and stuff like this, like Randa is like, something's off, So it's one of these things that I'm kind of struggling with. Another thing I'm struggling with is how many days they spend with Cersei, because there's about 7 days that they says that they can't spend more than 7 days with Cersei. And so the trial is coming up, and it would be interesting if one of those 3 novices were Tyene Sand in the epilogue of A Dance with Dragons. It would be. One is described as dark-haired, so it's probably not Tyene unless she's dyeing her hair. Another is described as freckled, which Tyene is never described as freckled, but maybe she is freckled. And then another, we're not sure if it's a novice, but there's a tall stork girl with pock marks, and we're not sure if she's one of the novices, but there's 3 novices. But um hey, I'm 26 and look 40. Yeah, I know. Or is cuz boobs, lol. But the thing is like, but this is on a TV show, it'd be passing 23 for 16. That's the thing, is on TV this happens all the time. If you've ever seen Grease or whatever, it's ridiculously stupid and we all make jokes about it. I mean, but George is really about having things look realistic, be realistic, unless it's supposed to be like the waif is like 40 or something. Is it supposed to be something like that? Has Tyene been giving herself poison to make herself look young? um Arya is going to be the novice in the queen's bed. It's, well, Arya is way, unfortunately we know that the Arya chapter takes place a month after the epilogue, so we kind of know that Arya is like is in Bravos for this period of time. So it's I think Tyene would pass easily. I don't know. I'm 28 and look 16. These things, Um, but the another thing is the timing of the 7, because it seems he just like Kevin describes these novices as otherworldly, kind of implying that Tyene is among them. But how many days has already passed um, since they were assigned? Like, how many days has it been since her walk of shame? It seems like a few. So that means, Tyene would have to be rotated out. So, like, is Tyene about to be rotated in, or is Tyene about to be rotated out at the end of the epilogue? Like, before the trial, is Tyene going to get rotated out, or is she about to be rotated in right before the trial, and things like this? So I'm short and petite, and even with makeup, people still don't believe I'm in my 30s. I get it. It's just weird with 16. 16 is so young looking. I understand that like TV makes 16 look old, but other teens think I'm at their age. Yeah, I mean, it's another thing is like Tyene, she's described as innocent looking, but does innocent mean young looking? Does innocent mean young looking? Is that what they mean? But anyway, these are these things. So I mean, I guess Millie fooled everyone to think she was 16. Alexa Demi was playing 16 at Euphoria at 30, and she's actually convincing. Let me see Alexa Deming. Let's see here. Let me. Oh, come on. Why won't they give me a good photo here? This photo. I don't know. I mean, it may be that like 30. Does she pass for 16? I don't know. Studied at the House of Black and White. I mean, I guess going forward, it's the only. I mean, I guess enough people in the chat are like, there's occasionally 23-year-olds that look 16. It's probably going to be fine. So I guess that's just the thing you have to do going forward, is that Tyene is going to be trying to pass off as 16. Like 2 years, a couple, 2 or 3 years older than Sansa. The other thing is, like Cersei's been hanging out with Marjorie. She kind of knows what a 16-year-old looks like. So When I was 22, I was working as a volunteer. He asked me for a hall pass. I remember Isaac in Children of the Corn, but he was funny looking. He had something. Well, I suppose going forward, it's the only thing that can be done, right? It's the only thing that can be done. Like, it's very obvious that it's George's intention that Tyene was going to be a novice rather than the septa. Like, plus, like, the other option there, I mean, there's a few options of what you can do going forward. Like, you can say, okay, no, Tyene is not even going to be part of, like, Cersei's whatever, like, uh, group. But then it's like, well, then how are you bringing her into the story? Like, what's the point of Tyene being in King's Landing if she's not part of the story? If she's like getting close to the High Septon, and off screen, what's the point? No, Tyene has to be like part of the crew. So option 2, you could make her the Septa, but it seems unusual that Tyene would become so close to the High Septon that she would be as a septa and then get sent as the supervising septa over the novices so quickly, because like Tyene's only been can't be in town like more than a few weeks, like at most. So like really, like the novice thing is the only thing that kind of makes sense. And even her being in the first round of novices, which is the ones doing dinner, probably is not very realistic. Like, it seems like she would be in this at least the second round of novices. Like, you'd think there'd be other novices around that they'd be sent first. You wouldn't, the new novice that just arrived in town, like, wouldn't be the ones first sent off to sleep in Cersei's bed. So I guess going forward, I mean, I guess you're all saying that, like, no, it's somewhat realistic that she could pass, and she could be one of Marjorie's 7 judges. I think they would not allow a female to be one of the judges. They would have to be like old men. They're not letting women vote. They're not letting women vote. But I ID people all the time that look older than they look. But we're looking at somebody that looks way younger. I saw stop acting like George R. Martin is a genius. Yeah, I mean, all right. This seems to be like what we're going forward is just Tyene's got to pretend to be. She's definitely a novice. She's going to be trying to pass off as 16. Everyone's going to be fooled. I don't think Cersei's going to be fooled. The thing is like Cersei is really focused on everybody's looks and their body and how they dress. And you'd think that Cersei would be like, this woman is definitely not 16 years old. But then, like, what does Cersei do? Like, once she kind of recognizes that the woman sleeping in her bed is not a 16-year-old girl, she's just gonna feel weird. Like, who is this strange woman in my bed who's clearly not 16? Anyway, something to think about. I'm glad I got some input, because this has just been gnawing at me. Okay. On to some super chats. Tyene, the Black Bride story was fake. It was a consensual polycule that Maesters hated Maegor for. What Vandas here is talking about, he's talking about Maegor the Cruel and his 6 brides. The third one was Tyene of the Tower, who was the one, there's always the insert foreign witch character for everybody, the Massaria, the Melisandre, the Darkland woman, Sorrel or something. I mean, there's a standard, it's a trope with George that there's always this like foreign witch, or at least she's perceived as a foreign witch. So Tyene of the Tower was the foreign witch, but then Maegor the Cruel married 3 brides simultaneously. I think it's Westerling. I forgot the second one, but the last one is Dreamfire Reina. And that's the problem with this, with the theory, is that we don't know anything about like the Westerling and the other one that's escaping me, but we do know about Dreamfire Reina, quite a bit about Dreamfire Reina, and So would Dreamfire Reina consensually marry Maegor the Cruel? This is a man who killed her brother husband, Aegon the Uncrowned, um, and Reina was also, you know, she was definitely a lesbian. So like that's not like that's pretty clear that she's a lesbian. So would she go into a consensual relationship with Maegor? Well, certainly not for love. And later she like flees and escapes Maegor, like her and her daughter Arya. At one point, like they didn't seem to be fans of him. So um, if there were a if there was a consensual polyamorous like situation, or not necessarily amorous, perfectly fine with like the multiple marriages, I don't think Reina would be part of it. Like that's the part, like we don't know anything about the other two women. Like who knows about them? It's theory crafting on out of thin air. But we do know that Dreamfire Reina probably would not be game for a marriage to Maegor at this point. Um, Planning first trip to New Zealand in January. I think you've mentioned being there before. Any trips or general advice? Hobbiton is obviously a must. Hobbiton was fun. New Zealand, all the sites are on. I mean, there's a couple things, but most of the sites are on South Island, and South Island is just overwhelmingly beautiful. But one thing that I went to, if you're more of a, if you want to do your Lord of the Rings kind of stuff, let me get a map of New Zealand out. I'm gonna butcher things because I'm not gonna remember names of everything. But all right, so generally speaking, you fly into Auckland. Some people go north to this like Long Beach. I didn't do that. I went around to like glowworm caves. I went to Rotorua to see the geysers. I went to see Hobbiton, which are all in the north. These are all like day trips from Auckland. The I went down to Wellington. I went to South Island. I went around South Island. It's absolutely stunning. But there is like right in the middle, there is this really cool. That's where Mount Doom is. You know, forgetting the real New Zealand name for the mountain. But you can go through and climb it. But it's also just a really beautiful area. Because they have these like unreal blue like lakes around. Let me see if if I can bring up some of these photos from let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. I'd love to show just I'm trying to show this folder without showing like everything in the world here. But you know, you like climb through this area near Mount Doom, and there's all these like beautiful, like strange colored lakes and such that are just really cool. It's remarkably cold. This is a horrible photo of me. So this is what I'm sharing as a horrible photo. But like, um, it's actually cold, but so which is why I have my coat on. But there's some pretty cool stuff there, and you can climb up Mount Doom. I did. I climbed up Mount Doom. There it is. Um, it's but that was really fun in the middle. Here's us. Here's us climbing the mountain. Um, so I had a really good time. It's not many people actually do the climb up because I don't know if you're given very much time. You have to like really kind of know. But like most people like walk the path through and then, but it's quite beautiful. But I had a great time. Nearly died in New Zealand. I rolled a car, all sorts of things. Um, but what you gonna do? New Zealand though, man, it's pricey though. You'll definitely like every time you're like, oh, there's like the glowworm caves and like the geysers, like every time you're hit, you're like, oh God, that's like $70, like $80, like, oh God. And so you're getting hit with a lot of stuff. But it's South Island is more beautiful. It's got, glaciers and everything. So um but it's a cute time. I think you'll have a fantastic time. But like I say, I mean, I had to take a full month going around, so I don't know if you're gonna have that much time. But if you're in the north, if you're only on North Island, I would recommend the mountains. That was the best. That was the best part for me. Um, um, could John's resurrection go down much differently than we think? It never was clear to me how or why the two uh, dead knights Dead Knight's Watch were brought back to life on this side of the wall, protected by ancient spells. Um, I've thought a lot about the resurrection of the two whites in a Game of Thrones. Like, if the wall blocks like magic and telepathy, how is it being done? And if someone like Bloodraven or time traveling Brand were doing it, and I suppose you could have somebody on the Isle of Faces do it, like or it's just like underneath the werewood nets, the cords go or whatever, um, or maybe they can be animated before they go and they're playing dead and then they get up, once they're on the other side. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities. I mean, John felt um, Ghost like once the gate was open, um, when he was fighting like Iron Emmett and stuff. So it's a little weird. Like John, definitely the wall is this like barrier, right? Like John can't feel Ghost when he's on one side. Jojen's personality completely changes once he crosses north. And so it might be that like messages are coming from the Isle of Faces, some other place in the south, um, and that's the action being taken is you know, and so you don't have to worry, you don't have to worry about it, or maybe the werewoods or something with going under the wall with their roots, and what have you. Um, but relating to John's resurrection, I mean, I think if we're thinking about the show as George's original plan, like who knows what George's plan now is, but yeah, I mean, a lot of fans were thinking that Shireen would get sacrificed, and there would be some like for John, and there'd be some sort of resurrection like that, and their guesses came out to be true in the show. Like they didn't connect it as much, like Shireen's death to John's resurrection, but that's what people were guessing. like the fans for many years. Like, oh, Shireen's gonna get killed. Her king's blood is gonna resurrect Jon. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say how exactly, because it's not exactly how we see Stoneheart. Stoneheart's resurrected from maybe from the direwolf, just like resurrecting her, or maybe from the kiss. But then Beric is supposedly from a kiss. So who's going to kiss Jon, and why are they going to kiss Jon, and things like that? Is Melisandre going to kiss Jon? Has George ever figured it out? But yeah, it's probably going to be definitely different from the show. But I mean, there's probably going to be some sort of kiss of life going on with it. But who knows? Who knows who's animating him? Isle of Faces, or time traveling Bran, or Bloodraven, or what, or nothing. Who knows? Jaehaerys' master of coin, Rego Draz, was accused of corruption of fire and blood. Who says he's too rich to be corrupt? Yet the only signs of his wealth are his silks and rings. Isn't that a tad sus? This is this question about. I mean, obviously, we're supposed to take Rego Draz and wonder if Illyrio is similar. Is maybe Illyrio's not that rich? Is the question. Really. Like, the silks and rings, like, in our society, we find that the people that dress really well are the ones that actually aren't rich. And the people that dress, like Bill Gates dresses horribly. Elon Musk dresses horribly. Like there's nothing, you don't look at them and go, oh man, that's, the people with designer clothes and everything are the poor people that are trying to, fool people into thinking that they're wealthy. But yes, was Rego Draz, this is the thing, was Rego Draz actually poor, and what, is Illyrio not as rich as he, we think? The thing is like with Illyrio, he had 3 dragon eggs. And so you definitely think that the guy's got to have some money if he's got 3 dragon eggs. And he does seem to have a manse, and he does seem to have slaves, and he does seem to have ships, and he sends at least 3 ships to get Dany. So, and he has a magister and everybody, so it does seem that, at least with regards to Illyrio, that maybe he doesn't have as much wealth as he's claiming, but he seems to have wealth. He seems to have enough wealth. But I don't know, Rego Draz. I mean, we're supposed to think that they're the same, because starting out from nothing and rising to wealth and things like that. Arswinder. I mean, merchant, trader, money changer. I don't know. I mean, that is the thing. Are there people faking it? Are there poor people that are faking it in our story? It's not something George has actually put forward. I understand that we kind of see it in our society quite a bit, but has anybody in the story been faking it, been pretending to be rich when they're not that rich? We haven't run into it yet. Maybe someone can correct me with that, but it's an interesting idea. But at least with Illyrio, he does seem to have some. He seems to have at least ships and a manse, and even a lot of those jewels and everything, they're worth a lot, and he has servants and everything. So I assume, we just kind of assume that Rego Draz is the same, because honestly, he's the same character. Come on, they just threw in Illyrio at a different time. Um, love Jamie 1, can't wait for Jamie 2. What's the likelihood that George R. R. Martin holds releasing wins so he does not have to deal with any fan heat? Once completed, how long would it take to publish? Um, so I do have I mean, it's kind of in its infancy right now, but I do have a video that's in the works about what it will be like when George is actually ready to publish The Winds of Winter. And essentially, long story short, like it's it's not how he's acting now. Like how he's acting now is not a man who has wins. And this gets into what Dragon Demands was talking about. Recently, George R. R. Martin went to a con in Santa Fe. I mean, he lives in Santa Fe, and he was pretty honest, weirdly honest, and he talked about season 2, and he mentioned that he didn't really. He hinted that he didn't like season 2, and he brought people brought up wins obviously, and he was kind of depressed over it, saying like, well, I've been thinking a lot about like legacy, and he just seemed like sad about the whole situation. So it's just not how George acts when he's in writing mode, when things are ready. He talks about how great his writing situation is when he's writing. He's positive. He's in a good mood. He's right now he seems to be in a horrible mood. And so I don't think we're anywhere close, nowhere close to hearing about The Winds of Winter. I mean, we're talking. I don't think certainly not 2024, probably not 2025. I understand people put high hopes, but no, I just don't think so. But say he were finished tomorrow, it's fairly fast. If a publisher wants to move on something, it's fairly fast. I mean, I think he finished Dance in April, and it was published in July. Is that right? Whether I'm off by a month, it's not that big of a difference. But the very very famously, Kong is Dead was a okay. Dance of Dragons was published July 12th, and Kong is Dead was April. So that's May, June, July, only 3 months. Yeah. So doesn't take they can do it 3 or 4 months, get a book out. So if George announced tomorrow I'm done, they could get it out before the end of the year, but that's not going to happen. So it's not the publishing. The publishing stuff is they can work and make their money, but George is not exactly in that position. Was Jorah Mormont a victim of cancel culture from the woke Eddard Stark? Well, I'm trying to think how many people, unlike Jorah. So the big difference I would actually say between Jorah and like supposed victims of cancel culture, is Jorah actually did suffer. Like he was exiled. His whole life was destroyed by Eddard Stark. I don't know if like too many people are really affected by cancel culture, like where they make some comment and then their careers are ruined. Like when people give the like examples, of people like fired whoever for for doing something like that, like Shane McGillis on SNL. His career is much better now. Like it's fantastic, you know. Like or Sarah Silverman, like she made a incredible like an Asian comment. That's the thing that like boosted her career into what it is. And when they really talk about like people that had their career like hurt, and I'm thinking of like Louis C.K., who's still doing fine, but Louis C.K. was on top tier, and then he, but that wasn't really cancel culture. He was, masturbating in front of people like that. That's not cancel culture. That's like workplace abuse kind of situation. Aziz Ansari is probably probably a pretty strong example where he didn't really even do anything, and he's not really on like he had a bad date with someone where they were like, oh, he was trying to have sex with me, and and that was it. He didn't he didn't do anything. He was just like trying to have sex. He was just trying to but that's about it. Like I'm trying, like I don't know. Like I'll probably go to the bottom here. I'll go to the bottom of the chat here, and people can try to put in like like is there any this is like Kevin Spacey got canceled. Like, didn't he try to, like, I mean, he's saying LOL, but like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not really canceled, right? When it's like a crime, like but it's a crime. He was committing crimes. Like, Kramer. The thing is, no, I admit, like, sure. But his career wasn't doing great to begin with, right? Like, so it's hard to say, like, what happened to it because his career wasn't doing well anyway. So, yeah, sure. Al Franken, yeah, okay. Al Franken is probably a case. Yeah, I'd get that. Um, you know, the Dixie Chicks. Yeah, definitely. Dixie Chicks. Dixie Chicks' careers tanked after they did the canceling of them. I mean, you know what's actually kind of weird? Do you guys remember Nora Dunn? Like Nora Dunn. I mean, this is way back. She was a SNL um, cast member who protested Andrew Dice Clay being on SNL. She just didn't want to appear in that episode, and then they fired her. And she's still bit parts here and there, but it's funny that like she was canceled for for protesting Andrew Dice Clay, which by the way, Andrew Dice Clay's like stand up does not hold up. Like does not hold up at all, if you could even call it stand up. But man, Liz Fair, what did Liz Fair do? Did she do anything? How the hell did you roll a car in New Zealand? It was stupid. I was outside of Queenstown, and like I've been driving the whole day down like just hairpin turns, exhausted, and I was on a straight shot after doing all of this risky stuff the whole day, and then I just didn't pay attention, and my tire went into the gravel on the side of the road because I'm driving on the other side, and then you panic because your tire goes into the gravel, and so I pull back, and the minute the tire is spinning on the gravel and then hits pavement, my car goes off into the oncoming traffic. Huge truck coming towards me. I veer back, ran into the ditch, roll. Snapped the wheel off of the axle. Yeah, it was, that kind of stuff happens. um, hello, hello. How goes it? Let
How
me.
are you? How are you, Preston?
I'm doing okay.
Oh,
Good to hear from you. Let me add you a proper window. There we go.
oh, nice, nice.
What's been going on with you?
Oh, nothing much. I'm in like the editing stage of like editing a video, so
Oh,
it's just
really?
like I don't know, editing all the visuals. Like you know how it is probably like where like you have to find a visual for each like thing you're talking about. And you're like, oh, I
Oh,
need to
yeah.
type that up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's tedious,
Absolutely.
but it's good.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny how um, like video stuff is like. You come up with an idea, and you're so like one, and then that idea like brings you into like a script and research, and you're like good to go, and then all the hard part comes, like the recording, the
Yes.
editing, the adult visuals. And by the end of it, like that's like, obviously like 95% of the work. And so by the end of it, you're just so fucking sick of it. You're like, oh my God, fuck this great idea I had.
I love that because it's hard to explain to other people. But you hit it exactly that like yes, that is what it's like. But like by the end of it, you're like, why did I have this idea? I've been working on
Right.
this for like months. Like I'm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
bored.
No, it's like you've entered into like one of those like 1950s marriages that like comedians are like, oh, my wife, like it's like, but you've got like the love affair period, and then you're like growing old with this old hats, like, or whatever, like this like, oh my God, this video, and then you post it. And that's what I mean. And for the most part, you only really get feedback on like the idea and the script. Like all of the editing stuff is taken for granted. Like no one understands like or
Right.
cares about that.
Nobody understands that that's like the most like lengthy point, and it took the most work, and nobody cares. Nobody
No one
cares. You're like,
cares. No one cares.
you're exactly.
Yes.
I'm happy I could talk to somebody about this because nobody understands that except like somebody who actually makes YouTube videos. No,
Yeah,
I okay, I have a
yeah.
question.
Well, yeah. Question.
I brought a topic for today.
Okay.
So I was thinking about, the ice spiders and how nobody has made any theories about the ice spiders
No one
of the
has made
others.
theories on the ice spiders. Everyone just assumes they're spiders rather than say like um futuristic tanks of some sort. So like
Yeah, yeah.
what theory do you have on the ice spiders?
Okay, because it's like one of those things that either like people are like, "Oh, that's like just a made up story." Like it there's just nothing nothing it's based on.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird goofy little detail that doesn't mean anything. But like, I don't know, we know George, we know George is like past sci-fi stuff, and like he loves doing like their every like legends have like an origin of like truth in them. Like
Right.
everything has like a distorted meaning, like it's been distorted with time, but there's a kernel of truth, and he loves that sort of stuff. So I asked
Yeah.
some people about
Absolute
the
absolutely. And what he also loves like, and everyone was wrong, and the truth was actually like you thought group A thought A, group B thought B, group C thought C, and it turned out it was D, and it's like everybody was wrong, you know.
So I actually heard. So I asked like my fans about the ice spiders. I'm like, okay, are the ice spiders real? And I had like a poll up, and everybody's like, yes, the ice spiders are real. They're going to show up in wins. But somebody had an interesting theory where the ice spider is like a whole bunch of corpse parts, like limbs and severed limbs and arms of like whites that are like tangled together into like a little being that like walks around. I was like, that is such a cool visual. I hope that
That is
that's like,
such a
I don't
fucking
know,
cool idea. Oh my fucking
right?
God. Like,
Like a rat king, you know, like how like the their tails get tangled.
oh
Like,
my
yeah,
God.
of like corpse limbs.
Oh my God. And then like over time, like they would just get covered in like ice and hoarfrost, but they're actually just like animated
Yeah,
limbs underneath. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah. And
God.
they're like,
That's a fucking like, oh my God. If that were like, That's like nightmare inducing, like wondrous, like, oh my God.
I love
That's,
no, I love it, and I'm like picturing like an other riding it, like he's like riding it like a chariot or like a throne or something like that
and
of like corpse
it's just
parts.
body parts. And it's just like body parts walking. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's such a fucking good idea. Whose
I
idea was
know.
this? Oh my
It was
God.
like
This,
some random guy on like my Twitter account. Let me see if I can find him. But I was like, holy shit, that is such a good idea. It's probably not George's idea, but that's like so
no.
cool to like
Because we've seen those pictures in the World of Ice and Fire and stuff. But like a body part, a spider is like made of like body parts, like just being animated by the by the others. Like, oh my God, that would be frightening. Because you've got to go with something like more frightening than like whatever. He keeps upping it. Like, oh, I had an undead bear. It was a white bear. Oh, I've got undead horses, white horses. But like, yeah, you're just got to be fucking like, yeah, I ride a chariot of animated fucking body parts. Like, oh my God.
it's and you're right that like most of like the calendar artwork or whatever just depicts them as like just big spiders.
Big ice
Like
spiders. Yeah.
either you just interpret them as just straight up big ice spiders, or you just think that they're fake. They didn't exist at all. And so
Right.
like I don't know, this is like a cool like middle ground. Yeah, it's this guy. This guy, his Twitter name is Kissinger is dead. He's obviously not a fan of Henry Kissinger. He said, "I think we'll find out the ice spiders aren't actual ice spiders, but like made out of whites." So I think I took the limb. Like I made up the limb thing, but yeah,
Still
it's like
though,
a jumble of
like,
whites.
yeah. Because like the portrayal here, this is I think a Mark Simonetti thing. Like that's just a fucking spider, man. That's just it's
Yeah,
not that's
it's very
barely even us.
fantasy.
That's just a big fucking spider. And then we kind of go I think here we go.
There's like
Here's
the
somebody
giant one where
else.
they're like huge.
Yeah, there's like this. Is this, and I don't even know if this is Ice and Fire. This is just like
No, it is.
some.
It's from the calendar. I have it like right
Oh,
over
okay,
on
okay.
it's in my desk, so I can't get it. But yeah, it's from like 2020 or something like that. But yeah, but as we saw, he really has no involvement with those. So
Yeah, I was
yeah,
thinking, what are like,
because you're right. I was thinking like they were robot, like they were drones or something like that. I don't know, like a little robot tank thing that they could
right?
ride on or
Like it's something
something.
like this, like these weird spider tanks, like
Yeah.
you know, left over from their futuristic wars. But to act, oh man, oh God, that's such a fucking good idea. That's when we get to that in the year 2030 with the fanfic, we will we will do that.
I saw it. That's why I had to bring it up. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's such a cool idea that like, man, because it's like I like just like I had never thought interpreted it that way, and I'm like, oh, but as soon as that, I was like, yeah,
Oh yeah, no,
it's like
it's
I'm just like picturing like cool visually.
there are so somebody once said, oh, Breaking Bad didn't end right. And they told me like how Breaking Bad should have ended. And once they told me like how Breaking Bad should have ended, I was like, yeah, that's too bad they didn't do that, because that's so much better. And the way that they wanted Breaking Bad to end was, so you know how the one thing lacking in Breaking Bad is there's very little time showing the damage of Walter White's actual meth on the community. Like we do get some junkies here and
Right.
there, but they're junkies before they start taking Walter White's like meth. So like, what is the actual impact of Walter White like on the community? And there's just not mentioned at all. And so he's like, the best ending to Breaking Bad would have been Walter White goes to like visit his family, and he sees that Walt Jr. is addicted to his blue meth. And then Walter
Oh
White
my
has to
gosh.
like fucking live with that for the rest of his fucking life, that he like doomed his own son with his fucking math. And rather than the whole like, I saved the world, I saved you, Jesse, like, yay, I killed the Nazis, dream dead, like, you know, blaze of glory shit, like glorifying Walter White, like that would have
Yeah.
been like, it's such a brutal ending, like, oh, because like Walt
Yeah.
Jr. is so pure, like he's such a pure character, and you're just like, oh my god, no, it just would have been fucking torture. And once I heard it, I was like, that's the perfect ending, and they missed it. Like that would have been the perfect ending. So you're telling me,
I do like that ending.
that like, yeah, the ice spiders are animated body parts. I'm like, they like there's nothing better than that. That's the perfect answer. Like you get like, because you could be like, okay, they're like future tanks or whatever. Like no, there's nothing. There's no cooler image than a whole like a string of like animated body parts frozen together. Like no, there's nothing. That's that idea wins. That idea fucking wins. So,
That's
um,
awesome. Oh, I'm happy I came here with you.
oh yeah, no doubt. Arion 2 starts with an allusion to Bob Dylan's "All Along the Watchtower" song about Babylon's fall. Aegon takes King's Landing, whilst two riders approach, dragon riders. Fits George R. Martin's music taste. Thoughts? Yeah, the George R. Martin, obviously, like he is a huge music fan of a certain age of his, you know, and he was definitely a Bob Dylan fan. I'm trying to I didn't I'm unfamiliar with All Along the Watchtower, so like and so I want to bring this up so that do you know what I'm just checking with you, Trey. Do you know about Bob Dylan's um
No, I haven't. I've heard
yeah,
the Jimi Hendrix version, right? All
that's the
along
more
the
famous one, I
watchtower.
think.
Yeah.
Um Oh, it's just all along the south coast of Cape Wrath rose crumbling stone watchtowers. I think
Oh,
is it. I mean, it's nothing. I'm trying to think. All along the watchtower,
it's it's
Jimi
like
Hendrix.
George will just he'll take like inspirations and use it in like a sentence. Like I know that like he uses like whisper and darkness or something, which is
Mm.
like H.P. Lovecraft. Like he took like a sentence from H.P. Lovecraft, like the whisper and darkness. I'm like, oh, there's Lovecraft. Just
Yeah, I
does that.
mean, he, you know, obviously, like, you know, the Werewoods are named for Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead, and after that, once you start looking into stuff like this, you're like, oh my, or the house words for House Lannister are from that song, "I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar," because the words are "Hear Me Roar." I mean, George has a whole bunch of these little jokes like this,
Mm.
but trying to think of. Are there even? Well, the lyrics, yeah, the lyrics don't seem to. All along the watchtower, princes kept the view, while all the women came and went, barefoot servants too. All along the watchtower, all along the watchtower. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of George R. Martin's allusions, though, like they're a lot of them are just very surface. Like he'll do something, and you're like, well, what does that mean?
Mm.
Like Princess in the Tower is referring to the princes in the tower, but like, is there any relationship between the princes in the tower historically and the princess in the tower? And the answer is not really. Or you know, or like
Mm.
the kingmaker historically, and you know, her being the queen maker, or Kristen Cole the kingmaker. Are there any connections? Not really. It's just, you know, he references it, and that, or like Robert being King Henry VIII, like, and being a big fat king and stuff like this. Is what can that tell us about the story? Well, not much. He's just referencing it and then moving on. So another
Mm.
mention of, you know, all along the watchtower. He's just being like, yeah, I like it. But what up, big dog? Please do wacky Thailand Esau's Adventures fanfic. Give people what they want. Oh my god, if I had the time, I would love it. By the way, I'm so fucking behind on fucking super chats. If I had the time, I mean, look, yeah, like people are finally like, finally the Jamie, like most people are great. This is the thing about also making videos, right? Is that the negative comments like are so much more salient than the positive ones. Like you need like 20 positive comments to make up for like a negative one, you know? So you get these ones that are like, oh
Yes.
my God, like Preston, like what the hell? Why has it been so long? And it's like, well, the fucking House of the Dragon season was on. Like, of course.
You've been lazy all this time. You haven't been
I
doing
know.
anything.
Oh my god, I'm so fucking lazy. I'm so fucking lazy. About the Jamie chapter, do you think Selyse also saw Jamie as the most attractive dude at court? Um, Selyse
Oh.
wasn't at court though. I mean, I think she would have. I think everybody would have thought Jamie was the attractive man at court, but Selyse wasn't at court. Selyse was at Dragonstone the whole time. And well, Stannis
Yeah,
was at
who
court.
okay, are there any other was Loras at court? Like was okay, who's technically like the most prettiest person at court? Handsome guy at
I mean,
court.
Laura
Preston
seems kind
Greenfield?
of new. Like he's new at court. I mean, he's only 18.
Yeah.
Um, Balon Swan's been there for a little bit. I don't know how long. Talad the Tall. Um, Jalabar Zoe has been there. If people are into Jalabar Zoe.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to think anybody else. Let's see. Renly's at court. He's supposed to be okay looking.
Okay, yeah, Renly's a handsome guy.
Um, let's see. Jamie.
R- Rennifer Longwaters.
Right, yeah,
The
Rennifer
under jailer.
Longwaters. Rugen.
Rugen.
Ilan Payne's there. Man, they could totally do a sitcom of like court in the year 297. Like what did it look
There's so many
like?
wacky characters all over the place, but apparently nothing happened for like
Nothing happened
15
and nobody
years.
got to know each other at all, you know. Uh, uh, um oh, George R. R. Martin's a meanie. Let Penny keep at least one pet. Yeah, she leaves behind. What happens to her dog and pig? They just are they left at the pits?
They're with sweets. Yeah,
Swe-
there were sweets.
oh man. And then but
They
Sweets
left
doesn't
them.
this Sweets
And Tyrion's like, "Oh, sweets will take care of them."
and he's like, no, they're probably dead. Right.
They're probably dead.
But Sweets is not. Oh, Tyrion lies to her and says that Yez's special slaves are all dead from the Pale Mare, and that Sweets was the first to go. The fate of Sweets is unknown. And then I get these things like, according to semi-canon sources, she did die of the Pale Mare. What semi-canon sources? This the World of Ice and Fire app, I think. Like
Yeah. I
what?
love it when it says that. It's like, yes, the dragon horn came from the wizards. That's on the app. So semi-canon sources say that the dragon horn
I
came
don't
from
understand the semi-canon. Like what is that supposed to make me feel better? Like, oh well, it's semi-canon, you know. So it semi happened. Like, what does that fucking tell us?
It's something that's licensed officially.
Sweets is semi dead. Oh yeah, semi alive, semi dead.
You're right that it means absolutely nothing because that's like just an app that George has had no involvement with. Like, I guess that's
Right,
the idea, is that they think that like he might have had some involvement with the coffee table book.
right. Yeah, George, who's massively, um, busy. Um, let's see. Hey, hi press. I'm a proud non-voter. RFK Jr. being an oathbreaker proves my point. Notice how Dems have so many turncloaks. Kristen Sinema, Tulsi, RFK, all politicians suck. They play for the same team. Um, here's the where I will say that you're wrong for being a non-voter. Um, you are for some reason examining the character of politicians as if the character of politicians like matters. Because people, this is I will grant this about the religious right, and people are like, how can the religious right like vote for Trump when he's such a non-Christian and you know is the exact opposite of like what they believe in. Well, you got to remember that like they're focused on policy, and Trump was very effective in pushing forward like religious right policy. So if you're in the religious right, it's quite logical that you would vote for Trump. Like I understand that like Trump is in no way a Christian, but he is a non-Christian delivering what they want policy wise. And so you can separate out like who cares like what like do you care like if your trash man is a good person or not? Like how much do you care that your trash man is a good person? Like you never talk to him. He just picks up your trash. What you care about is whether your trash gets taken, right? You know, and whether they've broken the trash can or whatever, or left things behind or whatever. You for the most part do have no concern about the personality of who they are. I'm sure you know on some abstract level you wouldn't like it if it turns out your trash man is a murderer, but like it's not like you're going to be like I'm not going to put out my trash anymore, or I'm going to take out my own trash. Like how? Like what? Like doesn't matter. Like you're not going to do that. So I would say that like looking at the character of politicians is kind of pointless. But also, I don't think any of your points really make much sense. Turncloaks. The Republicans have plenty of turncloaks. Like there's plenty of Republicans that spoke during the Democratic convention that are so. But I mean, your point is that they're all turncloaks, right? That none of them have any convictions. Well, yeah. I mean,
if you're saying turncloak, like the Republicans, the freaking January 6th, that's like a more like strong definition of like turncloak, where you're like
true.
actually committing treason against your country. So
but I'd say that his argument here is that all of them suck, and therefore you should not vote for any of them. But the thing is like who is in power produces tangible effects on your life. So like, you know, you could just take one issue and that like take one issue and reproductive rights and you know legality of abortion and birth control in America. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if all of these people like suck or not. Like who is in power greatly affects like whether or not women have access to birth control and abortion, and you know, that affects all of us, right? You know?
Yeah.
Because, man, like, I mean, maybe it doesn't affect you, Trey, but I'm talking about like the birth control. But you know, these things affect us, and there's a difference. There's a clear, tangible difference between Republicans and Democrats. Like, you know, on what policies are enacted. So it doesn't really matter if good, you know, the character of people. I'm not even going to argue that. Like, there is a tangible difference between Republicans and Democrats being in power, and you have to examine which party improves your life and the lives of people around you, you know? So if you'd
and
like
the environment, like all kinds of things.
Yes. And the environment.
Yeah.
And,
like it's just so much.
I know.
If
you think,
non-voter, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I think generally speaking, the non-voter is more the benefit of them going around claiming like, ooh, I hate everybody, I'm above it all, like is the thing that they're into. It's like the person that has never seen Star Wars that goes around bragging about how they've never seen Star Wars. And you're like, well, why haven't you seen Star Wars? Like, wouldn't you want to see a movie so that you would understand like what everybody's talking about and has like is on like top lists of like best movie of all time, like why would you purposely not see it? Well, it's because they like going around telling people that they've never seen Star Wars, because everybody goes,
Or is it
what? You've never seen Star Wars? You know?
There's like an Onion article or something. It's like that one guy that feels the need to say that John Lennon beat his wife at every party or something like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
You're like, all politicians suck.
Yeah.
So I'm not voting.
I'm not voting.
It's
yeah.
Like,
all right. Jaime chapter. You talk about Jaime being lost with Brienne. Will we get a Brienne chapter starting the same time or after Jaime ends? Brienne point of view starts. What I'm thinking is that, so because whatever secret Brienne has with regards to how she's going to sort of deal with the situation of Jaime Podrick, Hyle Hunt, that has to remain a secret. So it can't be in Brienne's head until after the showdown with Lady Stoneheart. So we did a Jaime. We're probably going to do a second Jaime. And then maybe we can switch to Brienne's point of view for the third installment of their continuing story. But I mean, it'd be nice to alternate because alternation is fun and all, but we just can't. We've got to keep Brienne's mindset a secret.
You should pull like a feast and dance where you should have the same exact events from a different perspective of last chapter.
Yeah, pull like John 2, Samuel 1.
Yeah. We need to fill this book. We're going to have like the bar scene.
Oh God. So this is almost like a spoiler for stuff, but I want to show you a chart. This is very interesting stuff. This is going to be in stuff I had prepared for a video. All right. Let's see if I can make this. It's going to make this smaller. All right. This chart, I'm going to make myself super small, and I'm going to make Trey super small so we can see this. All right. So this is what I do for you people. Okay. I waste my fucking time with shit like this. Let's make this smaller. There we go. Okay. This is what I do for you people. Okay. So this picture, can you figure out what this is, Trey?
Yeah. Let me see this. Is this like something happens, nothing happens, kind of something happens? I'm trying to think.
Well, there's some interesting. It's interesting that you bring that up because it's because there is a correlation once you start like examining the stuff. But
because I'm seeing a lot of Tyrion, Dany, and Jon being green, nothing happens, and then I see a lot of like the Ironborn stuff, the Theon stuff being pink, which makes me feel like those are the good ones where exciting stuff happens. And then black, I don't know. Yeah, you have to tell me.
All right. So the green are the chapters that are left over from A Feast for Crows after the split.
The
red are the chapters written in the boom period, the final 1 year, 3 months of the writing of A Dance with Dragons. And the black is the creep period, where like it was going years and years and years, going very slowly. So, yeah. So it's amazing because you actually like look at the chart and you're like, oh, but I love these. Like the red chapters are like all the exciting chapters that are like the best chapters. And they also happen to be like the ones he wrote the most quickly in the boom period. And you can kind of see that the ones that he wrote in the feast period, I mean, the creep period ones also like nothing fucking goes, like happens in them. So
yeah, I'm like looking like there's a couple, like the Melisandre chapter is pretty cool. Like it's a very kind of cool thing to do. but not much happens in it. Besides the revealing of Mance.
Yeah.
Let's see. The wind blow. Yeah, yeah, that's funny. The creep period versus like it's funny. The boom is like the best stuff. Like the epilogue was in the boom period.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised that the Tyrion the Theon stuff is like most of the Theon stuff is in the I mean Reek is in the creep period, but most of the like the exciting Theon stuff is in the boom period. And like
Yeah.
the chapters of John that finally start getting interesting, like and all Barristan like is in the boom period. It's yeah, it's pretty outrageous. It's pretty outrageous. But it's but there's also some other stuff like you know he wrote like Mercy and like the Mercy sample chapter and the Elaine sample chapter in the creep period, like before the boom period, like way back. There's a few, you know, I think the Forsaken might have been in the boom period, but it's amazing to me actually how much stuff was left over from Feast. Like he'd already done Cersei 1 and Daenerys 9 and things like this. But anyway, for a future video,
Yeah.
I know. But let's gross back here.
So you went through for that. You'll probably explain it in the video, but you went through like the Cushing library stuff to kind of determine like a rough timeline.
Yes, like G stuff's research on the different drafts in the Cushing library like gives the information on what was left over from Feast, and then George's not a blog like tells us fairly clearly like which chapters he was writing in the boom period. Like, you know, there's not 100% accuracy on that. There might have been like a chapter here and there that was written in boom that we don't know about, but that he didn't talk about, but he was pretty open about everything. So, yeah, you can kind of figure it out. Essentially Dance is 1,500 words, 500 left over from Feast, 500 written in the creep period, 500 written in the boom period. So it took him, he went really slow, like for a number of years, just revising stuff and like not really pushing things far. He was stuck on, I think, Brand 3 for a long time.
I find that stuff really interesting because I did that there's a video game called BioShock Infinite. It was like I was so excited for this video game and they would release like trailer, and the game was this massive disappointment. I really don't like what they did with it or the story, like the gameplay and story I didn't like. But I went back because I was like so attached. It was like a big thing for me. I went back and like looked at, okay, what is the story of the world like in these trailers at this time? And it was like that where you find out that like they didn't have a full idea of like the plot twist until like a year before the game came out. Like the game had been in development for like 5 years or something, and they were like they didn't know what the story was going to be until like the year before it was done, which is crazy to me. I know.
Yeah, I mean that's it is the funny thing because George is pretty honest. Like when he says like I'm a gardener, I don't really know, I don't like knowing where the story is going and stuff like that. Yeah, that fucking shows in A Dance with Dragons. Like, you know, he just invents this Barristan plot. But even with those kind of situations, like all these chapters, I can tell which ones are filling space and filling time, and you're like, oh gosh, like he wrote this book, but a lot of it is really filler. At least A Dance with Dragons, you know. Like the Tyrion travelogue stories and stuff like that.
Or the Quentin travelogue stuff too.
Yeah. You know, or everybody's travelogues, you know, whatever. John's travelogues of like going up to the trees and heading back down to the Mole's Town, you know. I know this has been beaten to death already, but I just recently watched Hot D season 1, episode 6 to 7, and it's astonishing how different Alicent is written. She is perfectly self-righteous and vindictive, bland in season 2. I agree. I think it's kind of a function of her personality is so centered around her hatred of Rhaenyra that it's very difficult to assess who she is outside of her hatred of Rhaenyra. And I'm talking about Olivia Cook's like portrayal of Alicent, because I do think Emily Carey's like portrayal of her is very different. They're both very good, but they're very different. And I think I prefer Emily Carey's portrayal actually, but Olivia Cook, it's so defined. Her hatred of Alicent is part of every scene, and then she turns, and now what is her character? Like, well, she's trying to hold on to power, and she's trying to stop a war. Like she vaguely cares about the common people, but I'm not really, but that's about all we can kind of say. So I think that the bland in season 2, it's kind of like, well, what define, like, who is Alicent? Who is she? Without like her number one like thing of hating Rhaenyra and being like angry and jealous of Rhaenyra. Once that's removed, like, what do you have? So I don't know. It's like, imagine if like the Hatfields and the McCoys like stopped their feuding. Like, what's your defining character of the Hatfields? And no, like, one more issue thing. Can you address the white woman issue? Kamala, like Hillary, Nikki Haley won't win majority of the votes. Latest example, Brittany Mahomes going full MAGA and telling everyone else to fuck off. Thanks, Prest. I mean, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to examine this like outside, like with the race issue on it. Like I can comment on like how I think like women politicians are treated and how they function and how difficult it is for them. But I don't know I don't know the race element. I wouldn't know how to comment on Indian woman versus, or half Indian, half white woman Nikki Haley versus half Indian, half black woman Kamala versus white Hillary. I don't know what the difference on that front is. I can only really speak about how how with women politicians, they're stuck in this situation where they have to seem super strong, but at the same time, everyone like still like, but if they act too strong, then they're considered like bitchy or like out of place and or shrill or having a cackling laugh or something like that. So I'm not sure what the white woman thing is, but I don't know, like, different women have to try out different strategies in politics. It's a man's game, American politics. I think there's a reason why like Kamala was the tough prosecutor, and Hillary like tried to portray herself as like gung-ho war when she was running, even though she had nothing to do with that kind of stuff, considering her position. So it's or in many places, like I want to say, well, the women that are like the one from North Dakota, where she has to like talk about her hunting constantly and stuff like that. They all have to put on this super butch like idea, because they're super fearful that there's someone sitting at home being like, yeah, but when the time comes, can she send our boys off to war, and she going to be able to push the button and things like that. Like people are sitting around being like, I'm going to vote for a man because, when it comes to war, we need a man in the seat. I think that's the calculus going on, but it's a hard game they play. It's No one, no one wants to be soft because they're like, well, we don't, they want to be like, I'm a tough leader. They don't want the soft guy because, I mean, even think of Game of Thrones, right? Like the soft leader of Tommen. Like everyone was like, well, too soft. We need somebody harder, you know. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know, but I don't know how to speak on race to that. But anyway, oh man, I'm so still at the beginning. In Storm, Catelyn 4, I believe, Catelyn says that if she could, she would strangle Cersei's pale throat. Do you think this will play into Jaime's story? I forget. Why does Cat want to strangle Cersei? I have to check this out. It's amazing how unrelated these two characters actually are in the story. Cat and Cersei.
Do they interact physically? Like, do they have a conversation or anything in Game of Thrones? At least?
On screen, no. I mean, they're at like during John's first chapter. They're like on the dais together. But I'm trying to think of and Cersei, like, I mean, Catelyn does stuff for like fear of Cersei, like, oh, we shouldn't put Jon on the dais because that would insult Cersei. But I'm trying to think if anything. Let's see how many even this is Cersei's leather. Cersei is wise enough. Cersei Lannister. Not in game. Does she even think about Cersei in Clash or Storm? It's amazing how, I mean, Cat thinks about Cersei very little. Cersei still holds Sansa. Would Cersei be so mad? Because later she has. I don't know. I'm not finding it. I'm not finding any sort of hatred. If anything, like Cersei, I mean, if anything, Catelyn attempts a lot of sympathy for Cersei, being, claiming like, oh, she's a mother, or two, she would be acting as a mother would act. But oh well. Oh well.
It's weird. That's weird. Like, we think of them as like these like anti, like opposites of each other with this rivalry of like the mothers of the king, and I don't know, Catelyn doesn't think about her that much. Really.
No, yeah. I mean, she comes up, but like she doesn't think about it. Like she thinks about her only a handful of times. Like other people are talking about her around her, stuff like that. But it's funny because they, in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, does she get like angry about her when like Jaime has that like confessing scene, like where he gets drunk and tells her like the whole truth? Like after that, does she hate Cersei because Cersei was involved with Bran's death or Bran's fall from the tower?
Cersei keeps no, nothing. No, it's all like all mentions of Cersei are just in like from Jaime's mouth. There's nothing really, so. Oh well. Jaime chapter. It feels like Jaime for some reason is ignoring Brienne and his thoughts, even though he's been traveling with her for a month. Yeah, with regards to like. I mean, I don't know if it's been a full month, but it's been a fortnight. I think we say that they've been traveling. I mean, he tries to think about it. I mean, we have just kind of a flashback. He just finds the whole situation frustrating because Brienne's not talking, and then he's just kind of like with her, and we just kind of like accept that. Like, I understand that it's an imperfect situation. These people are traveling together for so long; they should um, really know each other. But to tell you the truth, it's kind of the same with like Jamie and Jorah. I mean, not Jamie and Jorah. That would be a fun group. With Tyrion and Jorah, like Tyrion and Jorah have been like traveled together for literally months. And do we get to like, do they have scenes where they're like telling each other about each other's lives? Like we get that in the show a little bit, but or the idea that Viserys travels with the Dothraki for nearly for nearly a year, like he's just with them for so fucking long, and he seems to still know nothing about Dothraki culture at all. And you're like, dude, you're traveling with them every day, day after day, from morning till dusk, and you didn't learn anything. And you didn't learn anything about Jorah. You guys didn't sit around talking. You guys didn't get attached to each other. Like, it's not like nothing. It's there's weird stuff like that where these people should really, again, it's like being at court for years and not knowing it. Like, I've traveled with people, like, and when you travel with somebody for like a week, for 2 weeks, fucking everything about them, because you're on buses for hours, you're in cars for hours, and you just talk about everything. And you really get to know people when you travel with them. But yeah, I mean, I admit, it's probably not realistic that they'd be that silent with each other for a fortnight, and that Jamie wouldn't be able to like be thinking about things and be analyzing what the hell Brienne's doing. And he does do that, but we do what you can. But even George, that doesn't really make sense that Viserys is so clueless after like traveling with the Dothraki for nearly a fucking year. Maegor the Cruel did kill himself mainly because the head injury he received in the duel was a bad concussion, and CTE never healed from. So it is really weird. One of the things that we later find out about Maegor the Cruel is, yes, he was in a trial by battle, a 7-on-7 trial by battle situation where he was the only fucking survivor. I don't know if you know this about like in Fire and Blood, but he like they put him on trial and he demands a trial by battle, and and then he does a trial by 7. It's 7-on-7, like Dunk and Egg, Hedge Knight. 7-on-7, and he's the only one that fucking survives. But he receives a massive concussion and he's in a coma, and then he wakes up from his coma and he's king. And it's TV logic, because again, like comas, they're not so easy and pretty and everything. But Bran's in a coma for weeks too. And so, I mean, I think there's some hints or something that he's in the coma. I guess he's got to open his third eye or something in the coma. I wonder if he has like dragon dreams the whole time. That's my guess. He had dragon dreams the whole time. What's going on, Karma? What's going on, Carmine? What's happening?
I just came for this next super chat. That's it. But continue with what you were saying.
Oh, George R. R. Martin said the show wasn't his, all of it. Does he mean House of Hot D or Got?
Yes, he means House of the Dragon. He was trying to be slick in the comments, but no, he means House of the Dragon. And this is something I made a post about. I don't know if you saw it, Trey. I don't know if you saw it, Preston, on Twitter. People just keep pushing misinformation that George has started hating the hell out of House of the Dragon. And people keep pointing to, well, before he went on his Europe trip, that that he was talking about adaptations, and then the dragon thing, and he's been quiet the entire time. And Preston, you're the George R. R. Martin professor. George, that's number one. Number two, he's a nerd about dragons. I feel like he's had other dragon posts before in his blog. True?
Yeah, or he's just talked about it. I mean, I've heard him talk. I've heard him talk about it at a con personally. I've seen him talk about it with the actress with Shay. I mean, he brings it up a lot.
And
he
him
did the fucking post.
Him being quiet is not him hating the show. You said when he goes on trips, he doesn't really blog or write anything.
Right. Yeah.
So this is just some like really weird revisionist, because George did like the first half of season 2. He blogged about it multiple times.
Yes.
This is also coming on the heels of the thing I showed you earlier. Trey, I also sent you on Discord the post. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Because someone on Reddit, someone on Reddit went to the Santa Fe panel, and I hit this guy up privately in the DMs, and I asked him, "Hey, could you tell me more information?" He did. I'll be making a video on it tomorrow. But no, George, as far as we know, he doesn't hate season 2. He liked the first half. We don't know his opinions on the second half. So
he didn't make. I mean, the comment was
like the fact that Helena is a dreamer.
But he said it wasn't the post, like he said he liked season 1 and season 2 not as much or something. There was something small like that.
Let me see here. I sent it to you here. Oh, by the way, if you check your Facebook, Preston, the guy that Trey was talking about the ice spider, that Trey was talking about, he did not come up with that idea. The idea comes from this guy called Kozowski, who has that literal art. I'll show it to you too, Trey.
What? Nice.
Oh, there's art of it? Oh, shoot. Okay, now I need to see this. Yeah.
Yep. That guy came up with. That guy did not come up with it.
No,
this is what George said in regards to
that's
House
pretty
of the Dragon.
cool. I like
season
that.
2. He said, "Yeah, it's sick." He said season 1 was great. Season 2, I'm gonna write a blog post about that. So he has thoughts. We'll see what he says. I don't like this. I don't like this misinformation. People keep posting online constantly that season 2 was bad. It wasn't bad. I understand that everybody didn't like the ending. That's fair, but it doesn't like wash away all the good stuff that we got.
Right. It doesn't wash like episodes 2 and 4 were great. Yeah, episodes 2 and 4 were great. Yeah.
You didn't like 7? I know you didn't do one on 7.
I didn't do one on 6. Right? Was I was sick? Was I sick for 6? Do I have to? I thought I didn't do one on 6. I didn't do one on 2 and 6, but I think I have to check this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you know me better than I know myself. No, I did one on 7.
But no,
I did one on 7.
I keep seeing.
Oh, 7 was the sewing. Yeah, I did one on. I did with 7. That was fine.
Yeah,
Whatever.
You didn't like 7?
It was fine. It was no 2.
That's basically it. It's just, episode 2 is this once in a lifetime rare episode that we're probably never going to get again. So I just wanted to dispel that because, there's this really weird not consensus. There's a really weird select number of people who keep saying season 2 was terrible. It wasn't. These are the same people saying episode 2 was boring and so on and so forth. It's just, no, that's not the case. So pretty much all I wanted to hop in to say. I'll check you guys out.
What if we find out George? What if George was on like a panel and he's like, yeah, I hated that lesbian kiss. I hated it.
I feel like the end of it. I mean, people do take like George's comments and then like expand them to everything. Like, you know, he if he doesn't say something's wonderful, then all of a sudden he hates it.
That last stream that you were talking about, where that quote, what is it? The hero died before the story began, or whatever, and you found the quote is fake, apparently.
Yeah. Right. Because I mean,
That's nuts.
I had heard it and I believed it, and then it's like, no, never happened. Like he never said that. But hi Preston. Had you ever come to Costa Rica? Also, any chance for Tyrion being Rhaegar's son rather than Aerys's? Thank you. I've been to Costa Rica. I saw some volcanoes, went to Monteverde, went up to Playa del Coco. Had a really nice time there. It's Costa Rica is obviously insanely beautiful country. Everybody loves Costa Rica, and the Ticos are all very friendly, wonderful people. It's very easy to get around in Costa Rica because everybody's so friendly. It's a great time. Any chance of Tyrion being Rhaegar's son rather than Aerys's? This is the idea that Rhaegar would be fucking Joanna Lannister. I'm trying to think of like Joanna's at court, so Rhaegar could be. I mean, I guess there's a possibility. They're all at court, right? That Rhaegar. I've never thought about it. I think you're the first person that's ever like put this forward, and I'm like, could Joanna Lannister been fucking Rhaegar? And it's like, how old? Wait a minute. How old would be Rhaegar at this point? That's the thing. So Tyrion's age. Oh, this is the big thing. I bet like Rhaegar is going to be like 8 or something. Let's put this together. So Tyrion is younger than people think because Tyrion is 27. And it's tough because we all think of the Dink, and like, rather than like Tyrion being like some young guy in his late 20s, so Tyrion's 27, born in 273. Rhaegar dies in 283. So, let's see. That doesn't. Well, when Rhaegar dies is Rhaegar. What's Rhaegar's birthday? Rhaegar is 273, 259. So 14 when Tyrion is born. So 13 years old. So not impossible, everyone. Oberyn Martell, supposedly fathering people at 12. Rhaegar, 13 years old. It's possible. Possible that he could be begging Joanna Lannister. I'd never thought about it. As the first person to ever put this forward. So I guess it's possible. We just don't know that much about him, Rhaegar. So, but yeah, the possibility that Joanna Lannister molested him, and yeah, I guess that's going to change the story a bit. Yes, tell that to Al Franken. This is way back of our discussion of people that got canceled. Al Franken definitely got canceled. Al Franken deserved to get canceled? I don't know. I mean, in the end, none of his accusation, the people that accused him, like panned out. And he actually says his big regret was like not fighting it. Because he essentially had like 5 people saying that like he hugged me weird, and then like, okay, who are these people? They're like kind of all anonymous, and then or a couple weren't, but then when actually when people actually wanted to question them about it, the stories kind of fell apart. So, yeah, I wouldn't say he deserved it, but. Google the game The Forest and look at the human spiders in that. I shat myself in VR. Okay. Oh, did Carmine send the body?
Oh, that's pretty spooky. That's a spooky design.
Oh God. Oh my God. That's just like, oh my God. Yeah, no one wants to be around these things. This is just these weird like human legs coming together in this like massive flesh. Oh. Okay, that's disturbing. I will grant that. It's weird how like the human body can be so I think it's like the uncanny valley thing, like if it's like to see something that's human
like
but not human.
There's something weird about like limbs bending like wrong way and stuff. Like,
right, or like
weird orientation.
Human skin, like something being covered with human skin with a human skin hue is kind of is gross. Like cow skin, well, we're fine with that, but like human skin, like the pinkness, there's something very weird. There's something very weird about it. Oh God. So here we go. There's our spider, our white spider. Yeah, very human centipede-ish. Do you intend to be parallels with Jaime and Aeron's stories in the fanfic, with both of them marching to their death, redefining themselves? Sometimes it seems like the Jaime chapters was foreshadowing the Aeron one I wrote. Oh, I mean, I hadn't thought about it. I mean, all the characters obviously parallel in some sense, and they're all being reborn and changing in that sense. But I hadn't thought about it too much. And Jack, I did read. I've been going through those submissions. So I mean, if it somehow stuck with me on some deep subconscious level, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of like, every character like ends up in the depths of hell. Everybody ends up in a fucking cave or a prison in ice and fire, and then like redefines themselves, right? Like Bran is stuck in the crypts. Like Theon is stuck in prison. Davos is stuck in prison. Eddard is stuck in prison. Jaime is stuck in prison. Jon is stuck in prison. Tyrion is stuck in prison.
Davos goes to prison again.
Davos goes to prison again, a second time. And then there's these like almost died, comes back, and it has like periods of isolation, like Davos stuck on a rock. Arianne in a tower. She's in prison. Dany in a tent, like isolated, alone, or these awakening moments. I mean, it's kind of all, every character has these moments. Ice Spider's animated hands of giants sewn together. So like the thumbs are not on there, but it's two giant hands. But I guess it's
kind of cool.
Kind of cool. I'm just saying the giant hands would be like this, so the spiders would be like this. They could be really riding them. I mean, big enough to be fucking creepy, having like spiders, but like, yeah. Glad we're exploring all of the. This is the Sarah Hess eats children. Yeah, Sarah Hess is getting a lot of like more trash talking than she possibly. This was from last week too. Like, poor Sarah Hess. She writes the best episode. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I do think that like who is declared the writer of an episode is not necessarily the writer of the episode. I think it's in a group, but and then one person is kind of like, oh, you did the most work, so maybe you get the. But Sarah Hess supposedly wrote the second and wrote the last episode of the season, so we know that she does good work. So it's Breaking Bad did do that with Jesse. Jesse was Walter's surrogate son as much as Walt Jr. Walt had a bad influence on Jesse's life. Jesse kills for him. Nope, I lost Trey. But the thing is like nothing bad happens to Jesse either. Hello, you're back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think my connection dropped.
But so Jesse goes through periods of suffering, but usually they're periods of suffering caused by Walter, like when Walter murders his girlfriend. But I mean, he saves Jesse in the end, like, and then Jesse goes on to live a great life. I mean, the idea is that like Walter suffers. Like had he seen Jesse suffer and die and then had to live with that would have been like an okay ending. But like everything goes great for fucking Jesse and for fucking Walt.
And you're so right. I never thought of it that way, that you don't see the negative impacts of like his meth empire itself. Like you see the people that get involved in the production of it, but you don't see like the end result of like where the meth goes to and stuff.
Yeah. And in fact, like the first couple seasons, you do see some meth heads, but like they're just meth heads before the blue. Like the blue meth is just being introduced to the world at that point. So it's not even their meth that's ruined these people's lives. With the fanfics, where fanfics will be disloyalty of House Farman to the Lannisters will be a factor. I have to think about House Farman for a second. I mean, I mainly think about House Farman with like Alyssa Farman. But like I'm trying to think of like the modern story. Here we go. Let's see. Cersei recalls the only Farman right now. I suppose we've got a couple boys from Fair Isle at the Wall. And the only Farman we hear about is Jane Farman, who is Cersei's other friend. So Cersei had two friends when she went into the one who ran away. So Jane Farman is the one who ran away and lived like a great life. And like after that, she's just like, she never saw her again. She's living a great life. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to bring her back into the story, but she's the wife of Gareth Clifton. House Clifton is also in the Westerlands, and they're just oh wait, House Clifton is a member of Marjorie Tyrell's guard in King's Landing. He is named by the Blue Bard.
Ooh.
But Hugh Clifton. So but we don't know if Hugh Clifton, like how much of a relationship he has to. And then there's a Clifton serving with Stannis. Humphrey Clifton. Man, these fucking Cliftons are everywhere.
Oh.
House Clifton theories. No one's ever done any House Clifton theories. Yeah, I mean, we'll see about the Westerlands. I haven't thought too much about like which Westerman house would not be loyal, except for maybe Crakehall, like because Crakehall might want to like, get involved in the fray stuff because of Strongbor. But like for the most part, I just kind of think about how are we going to connect the Westerlands with the Ironborn and continue the story in that sense. But that's a long way off. It's a long way off. But I don't know. I haven't thought about House Farman and Clifton and whether we'll bring back Jane. You want Jane Farman back in the story, Trey?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Her life's still going great. She's like living the perfect lifestyle. It's like rubbing it into Cersei.
Thoughts on the Acolyte cancellation?
Oh yeah.
Carmine and I never got around to talk. Did we? I see. It's so not my memory. I'm forgetting if Carmine and I sat down. I think we did talk about the Acolyte. I don't know if he posted it yet, but we did. I think we talked about the Acolyte. But the Acolyte was I wouldn't say it's a horrible show. I would not say it's a great show. It's just kind of in the middle. There was nothing like super. I mean, the things that were so good. First of all, the fighting in Acolyte is the best fighting that we've ever seen, other than like the Phantom Menace. That's incredible. And I don't know, like the costumes, how it was filmed is fine. But other than that, it's a pretty forgettable show. And I think one of the problems is that they kept killing off the likable characters until we were just left with boring characters. Did you finish Acolyte, Trey?
I didn't even start, but I saw like people posting about it, and I saw Darth Plagueis or something showed up at the end. There's a little guy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. It's hard to say. It was hard because they're trying to make the Jedi are pretty boring characters, and they're trying to make them interesting. And to some people, that was a betrayal. But really, they were still boring even after being like having this shady past. They were still boring. And so the guy from Squid Game did his best, and he was the best part of the show, which was impressive considering that he doesn't know English and he was saying all of his lines like based on like sounds. It's really fucking crazy. Like, oh
my gosh, he's like that Indian guy in Temple of Doom, like the old Indian guy.
Yeah. Except he's like the best fucking actor in the show and like carrying the whole show. It's so fucking crazy. The Squid Game guy is insane. He's incredible. But I mean, the show had a lot of potential. It really did. It could have gone somewhere really cool. I think the premise was okay. But I don't know. I wish it were like, despite it being kind of very mid, I kind of wish it was given a little more chance. I think all shows should be given a little more chance. I'm really sick of shows getting canceled so quickly and everybody expecting like magic immediately. How many shows were horrible in their first season? Like, how great was Deep Space Nine in its first season? Not that great, How great was The Office in its first season? Not that great. A lot of shows are bad in the first season. So I wish it was given some more time, to do something with it. There was a lot of interesting there's a lot of interesting ideas in there. I'm not saying it was a great show. I'm not saying it was the worst show ever, but it was not. I mean, it was better than Book of Boba Fett. But it's too bad. But I don't know. Streaming's just falling apart. Everything's falling apart. How many good shows are on these days? Like, remember when like 10 years ago, everybody was like, peak TV, this is the best. This is better than the movies. And now, what do we have? I mean, what's good? Shogun's
good. My dad was talking about how he misses Hot D. He's like, I miss Hot D. It was so fun on Sunday nights or something like that. So I was like, okay, Hot D. You're right though that like, yeah, there was like this explosion of like bigger and bigger TV, more budget, like crazy sets and CGI and stuff, and then now we're kind of in like the post of that, where like it's
Yeah,
like
and granted, it was sort of an
crappy.
illusion during that. It was sort of an illusion during that time, considering that like, you know, stuff is getting subsidized and everybody's actually massively losing money during like this period, like the golden period. Everything fell apart. I get it. Netflix was getting pumped, like all these companies were getting pumped money. You know, and they were all operating at a loss. But and now that golden age is over, and what are we left with? We're left with Disney no longer wants to put out Star Wars or Marvel shows. HBO has just fucking House of the Dragon and Dunk and Egg. Like, that's all they fucking have. Like, what's left? I don't know, man.
The Dune, the Mothers of Dune,
the Mothers of Dune. Yeah, but
all those Walking Dead spin-offs, like all 5 of them.
Are they still around? God, fucking A.
Yeah, they're like Walking Dead Daryl. Like they have like standalone, like like a character. Each one of those characters has had their own spin-off show now. Like
that's horrible.
Walking Dead, Tijuana, Mexico.
Like, Law and Order, Walking Dead, Walking Dead SBU, Special Victims Unit, Walking Dead Trial by Jury, Walking Dead Criminal Intent. Fucking A. The red door inspiration is the Rolling Stones lyric, I see a red door and I want to paint it black. Blackfire Danny? Heel turning Danny? Thoughts. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So people make a big deal about the line in A Feast for Crows where they're talking about the history of the inn and the inn and the kneeling man, and how the House Heddle was. We kind of know that House Heddle was Blackfire supporter, but they talked about how like the black iron dragon from the inn fell in the water and then it turned red. But no one can really figure out what that means. Like, yes, okay, we've got a black dragon and a red dragon. That sounds like we're talking about the Blackfire Rebellion, and House Heddle was a Blackfire supporter. That's true. But what the fuck does the black dragon turning red mean? Does it mean like those that supported the black dragon are now going to support the red dragon? Or does it mean the black dragon is still the black dragon, it just looks red, but we're wrong because it's black on the inside, and that it's an illusion that it's red? Because it could go either way. So when we're talking about like, you know, all these Blackfire supporters maybe like supporting like Aegon, do they mean, well, the Blackfire supporters like forgot about the Blackfires and now they're just they're gonna legitimately support the Red Dragon? Or are they secret? They're all secretly supporting a Blackfire the whole time, and you know, which is it? But yeah, I never thought about like the red door as the red door getting painted black. Now I've got to look. Everybody's been looking for red doors in the story. We got to find black doors. How many black doors are there in the story? Right? Everyone's been searching for the fucking red door because there's the red door on Dragonstone, and everybody makes a big deal out of that, as if. But is there a black door? Let's see how many black doors. There are no results for black door.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. 18 results for red door.
The black gate. There's the black gate, though. There's the black gate. I guess it's white, though. It's a guy's face.
It's why do they even call it the black gate? doesn't make much sense. The red door on Davos. There's a Davos. Davos mentions the red door, but door. I don't know. Is there anything painted black? Painted black. No, nothing. Got to find black doors in this story. I see a red door and I want to paint it black. Preston, in your opinion, which U.S. administration had the best foreign policy? I assume you won't say Nixon. Now keep in mind that like up until recently, U.S. foreign policy, for the most part, carried over from administration to administration. So like what one president establishes, another president just kind of goes on with. And so Nixon is more famous for like his switch on China, which, you know, has good parts and bad parts to Nixon, you know, opening up China. And so comparing for like, you know, Somalia kind of situation carries over from HW to Clinton and things like that. So like, you know, with each of these people, it's hard to name one because you start seeing like really glaring problems, right? Like say you were to name, like W, you'd be immediately like, but he started the fucking Iraq war, and you'd be like, oh right, you know. And then you say, okay, well, what about Obama? And people would say, well, you know, he did all those drone strikes in Pakistan. And you kind of say, you could say Clinton, and you could be like, well, he really dropped the ball on helping people in Rwanda, you know. And so like each president has a big like bad sticking point. I think that when you really start thinking about who achieved the most, I would actually say that Jimmy Carter, just going off of the fact that he had peace between Israel and Egypt, and eliminating that like tension point and creating essentially a very good friendship between the government of Egypt and the government of Israel. That, you know, Jimmy Carter there's a lot of props there, but then people go, oh, Jimmy Carter, but he's totally screwed up with Iran and the Iran hostages and stuff like that. So it's really hard to pick anybody. You know, I can pick people that have achieved like some incredible things. Like, you know, you could say like Bill Clinton, like, and his achievements with Northern Ireland were really great, but then he dropped the ball with Rwanda, and you know, I'm all for him helping in Bosnia and Kosovo. So, you know, I have fairly good things to say about Bill Clinton, but though at the same time, you're like, what are you supporting? Dropping 1 million bombs on Iraq? You know, so it's hard to pick one president and talk about their foreign policy, because it's just a lot. There's a lot of good things and a lot of mistakes with every single one, with the exception of Trump, who was pretty much horrible on everything, who really screwed up almost like he was trying to screw up nearly everything. But and W starting wars is really hard to forgive. But but you know, like, do I think like, you know, or like the bad thing about Reagan was his complete running away from Lebanon, you know, to like the bombing happens in Lebanon, and then he's just like, fine, we're just going to pull out and then prove to everyone that, you know, we're wusses, you know, which was one of the big reasons that 9/11 was named as a reason for 9/11 and things like that. So everybody has some good, I know I give a wishy-washy answer, but you know, it's hard to pick because everybody has got their mess ups and everybody has their strengths. I lost Trey again, but when he comes back, I will add him back in. How has House Templeton stayed landed knights since the Andal invasion? They've done anything in the last 1,000 years to get promoted. Philip Foot was made a lord after one battle. All right, that's a very good point. It may be that like maybe House Templeton got demoted at some point. Oh man, you're completely right. Templeton's very I mean, it says that they're kind of barely landed knights. Then raise 1,000 men, it said. Let's see. Andal invasion. I'm trying to think if they did anything in history to get themselves demoted. Ireland heir and then heir. See, unfortunately, the Templetons were actually like supporters of the Loyalists. They weren't even Blackfire supporters. So, who did they support? Maybe we could argue that they were like, they supported Rhaenyra or something, and then like, no. But then again, the Arryns supported Rhaenyra, so they should really. They couldn't be treated worse than the Arryns. Oh, fuck. There's no fucking reason in recent memory that they should only be landed knights. I mean, you're even though they might be barely landed knights, like they may be like close to lords, but like still like landed knights all through this time. Maybe we'll have to add in like how they maybe they were lords for a while and then lost it and then gained it back or something. But yeah, no, it seems ridiculous that after thousands of years they're only landed knights. That is ridiculous. Let's see. Nikki Haley, 100% Indian. My mistake. I only thought she was half. This is some weird stuff on Kamala. So like, the thing about the idea of like blackness in America is not like done in the same sort of like, even though we talk about we can say kind of informally like Barack Obama is half black, half white, but the thing is that because of the slave trade. I mean, not even the slave trade, the end of the slave trade, and then the production of slaves. Yeah, most black people in America have large percentages of white blood in them. And so, like, you know, to start talking about, like, how much of somebody being black and white is kind of a weird conversation because it's, like, it's mostly about how they're treated as a cultural category rather than, like, a percentage of blood kind of thing. So like, as for Kamala Harris, like, you know, she's definitely like, you know, She definitely put in her time as a black person. You know, she went to a historically black college. She was part of a black sorority. I mean, she looks black. Like, I don't know what people want. I don't know what Trump wants. Like, on proving you're black enough, as if that's a fucking thing. But it's silly. But yeah, it's all of these, but nonetheless, here we are, where people like Trump makes a huge fuck up that I'm sure like all of the people around him are like just like groaning that he said, but they'll still have people like support it, like defending Trump and like repeating what he said. And you're like, oh God, like just accept that he fucked up and he shouldn't have said something like that. Oh, South Park predicted ice spiders, human centipede. South Park's, I will grant that the human centipede episode of South Park was a little funny. How South Park is so hit and miss, like sometimes they're straight on, like, and they hit it, and then sometimes they just completely miss. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that like they have to produce that show so fast, and so sometimes they just don't have a very good idea, and they just miss. But sometimes they hit really well. I mean, obviously, like the Game of Thrones one was pretty funny, even though they didn't need 3 episodes for it. Thoughts on David Lannister, one of my favorite characters in the book, come across as very likable. Does he have any role to play in the future story, either George R. R. Martin books or your fan fiction? I mean, obviously he's going to. So I will tell you that in the fan community, there's this fan canon that there will be a second Red Wedding, and between Devin Lannister and his Frey bride, and that somehow this is going to get organized, and then while he's getting married, everybody's going to get murdered, and it's going to be sad because this guy was a pretty likable character, and he's just going to get killed because the Brotherhood Without Banners is kind of cruel at this point, and it's just going to poison everybody or something. This is just like one of these fan theories on how to kill off the Freys, and we kind of see like a mass poisoning in the show and things like that. Though I don't think it really makes much sense, because the Freys are super spread out. They're everywhere. You can't kill off all the Freys. Like, it is impossible to kill off all the Freys. They're everywhere. They're in Essos. They're in different cities in Essos. They're in the Vale. You can't just like have this wedding, have everybody show up and then die and kill off the house. It's not going to happen. And so how they did it in the show it was silly and stupid. Like, plus in that scene, like, Arya only shown killing men. Like, what if all of the female Freys, like, what happened to them? Like, House Frey is still going strong. She doesn't kill off anybody. Not to mention, like, what about the children? I didn't see anybody I didn't see her poisoning anybody below the age of like 18. What about all the children? Like, House Frey is extinct. No, it's like, no, like, you just, so unless Arya, or I'm sorry, unless Arya or the Brotherhood Without Banners is planning on murdering children, women and children, and killing them in all sorts of different places. I mean, there's freaking Frey babies, okay, in this story. Like, there's so many Frey children in the appendices. Unless they're planning on killing a whole bunch of kids, we're not seeing House Frey get eliminated in any sort of event. And so I sort of asked, like, what's the point of a Red Wedding 2.0 if you're not really killing off the house? Like, what's the point? So I don't know. Also, like, logistically, so many months have to pass before you can like prepare for the wedding and get everybody like traveling to the twins and stuff like that. That, you're talking about it happening maybe, if something like that would happen, it would be like near the end of the book, or, the end of the Winds of Winter, which, fine, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So but that's what people talk about. They talk about this wedding event that been brought up. And yeah, his wedding, it's talked about quite a bit. This wedding does have to be some sort of an event. Maybe something happens to happen, or this marriage or this wedding has to be significant at some point. So I think in the fanfic, things are going down more in a battle alliance sense, where like Freys are split and in different factions, which has kind of been set up in George's work, where certain Frey factions, like at Derry, and Jenna Lannister is talking about the Frey factions and how they're given to different people, and Merritt Frey talks about how like Freys only really align themselves with full-blooded siblings and not with their cousins. So I mean, this is all kind of like set up. Do you think OG Bran lived long enough to master Syvass? I think that I'm not sure if Syvass would have made it all the way up. Like, maybe, because the idea is that like if an adult Bran is the first one to time travel, maybe he's like in his late 20s or something. Would Syvass have spread to Winterfell by then, and would he have understood Syvass? Yeah, why not? Why not have Syvass everywhere? Yeah. OG Bran probably died the worst death. Well, I think they all die on the spears. They all die falling. Okay. All right. Okay. Finally making it to the end here. It's such a relief when I get to the all right, we made it to the end. Then you have Frey Civil War. Yes. Don't kill Big Walder. I kind of like him. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, even what do you do? What do you do with the murdering of children is kind of a weird thing, right? Especially to have like on screen. I guess George does it quite a bit, pushing people out of windows and such. Are there any Freys in Dorne? I don't think there's any Freys in Dorne, but there probably should be some Freys in Dorne, right? This is how the Freys survive, daughters and granddaughters. Yeah, but even beyond that, like how do you get, like, this is why I was like bringing the veil out of the Vale back into the Riverlands, because there's like a whole bunch of Freys in the Vale. We still have a bunch of Freys alive in the north. We still have Freys alive in Bravos and in Lyce, and I think there's a few there might be a few in the Westerlands. But I don't know if any are in the Stormlands, Reach, or Dorne. But yeah. Oh, the Red Wedding 2.0 happens. The phrase rise as whites and then murder the Brotherhood. That'd be pretty funny. That's true. Carmine says there's an entire scene in the show where Walder Frey introduces all of his granddaughters that Robb could have married, and yet like the house like is no longer seen anymore after that. If Craster leaves a Frey in the forest, do the others take it? Yeah, man. I mean, I think we don't know. We don't know about like what magical powers that the Freys have. Trey Frey. Trey has to like marry a Frey and then choose to take the Frey name. All right. Well, we are at the end. Usually this is where like Carmine calls in for like one last like discussion on before I go kind of thing. Let's see if he does it. Okay, we'll see if he why did the Targs marry any Valyrians after Aegon III? I think maybe were the Targs desperate after Aegon III? It also might be that like certainly like it may be that they were so convinced that the dragon riding was only in their own genes that they were only marrying themselves, and they forgot that like the Valyrians existed. It might have also just been like a power thing, like let me see. It's an interesting discussion of like, did anybody who had the opportunity? But you'd think that like at least one brother or sister or something, because there's some people that marry absolute nobodies. Here, let's take a look at this. So obviously Baelor marries his sisters, and they try not to have him like breed with them. Viserys II is married to a foreigner, and then Aegon. Really, considering that Aegon the Unworthy was trying to marry everybody, he probably should have married a Valyrian. This is absolutely true. That it should, like logically speaking, he should have tried to have a child with a Valyrian. This is really dumb of him, considering he's like trying to have a baby with everybody. That is ridiculous. I will say that is a plot hole. Daeron, this is for power reasons. He has to do a Martell. But then you get people like these marriages just aren't that great, right? Like Dondarrion, Kira of Tyrosh, Penrose. Aaron's okay. A Dane, I guess a Dane's okay. Like they should definitely be trying to marry somebody. Yeah. This is just kind of a goof. Like somebody should be doing something here. Because here he's marrying people like Betha Blackwood. And then it's just... yeah, all these... Like, I can understand it. I could forgive it if they're marrying a super powerful house for political reasons, or if they're marrying a Targaryen because, they're trying to keep the blood pure or whatever. But when they do something stupid, like marrying a Dondarrion, a Penrose, like, come on, you could have married a Valyrian. Like, that's just stupid. So I would just say that that's just like a fuck up. And especially Aegon the Unworthy, who's trying to put his dick in like everybody. Come on. I guess Dane's okay. Well, Dane, I'm just saying that I'm assuming Dane is like the third most powerful house or something in Dorne or something, with whatever blood of the first men kind of bullshit. How do you think they'll fill the episodes with Dunk and Egg? I think if it's only like 6 episodes, you've got like episode 1, Dunk meets Egg. Episode 2, the puppet incident. episode 3, like trying to find knights to join him in his trial. And then episode 4 and 5, maybe a 2-part trial by battle, and then episode 6, like the aftermath. I don't even know. Like, it is. They'll have to. You're right. There's going to be some filler. There's definitely going to be some filler. I don't know how they're going to do it. They're going to know how they're pulling out to 6 episodes. Bruh, the Dondarrions are stronger than the House Dane. Are they? I mean, let's see. The problem is we don't, generally speaking, we don't know like who is the like at different times. Like certainly one time, like the Danes are definitely like the number 2 house before the Ironwoods, and the Ironwoods took over. So I'm just kind of assuming that. But I'm trying to think like, okay, after House Baratheon, who is the most powerful in the Stormlands? I mean, we don't hear about... I mean, Dondarrion just... Like, because the Lord isn't there, they don't go along with it. But, okay. Oh, in the appendix of a Game of Thrones, they list the principal houses, the most powerful houses. Obviously, like, Dondarrion is going to be on there. But we get to see the other ones. It's Selmy. It claims Selmy, Wild, Trant, Penrose, Errol, Estermont, Tarth, Swan, Dondarrion, Karen. But of course that's only because it's like, because those are like the characters we know, right? We have like, I mean, right now I think, I don't even know if the Selmies are landed knights. No, I guess they have a lord. But I mean, we hear about Penrose. He's made Castellan, so you think he might be pretty powerful. So maybe House Penrose and Swan. Probably not Tarth or Estermont. Maybe Dondarrion's number 2. Maybe. It's hard to say. It's definitely hard to say. We're just not given enough information. The Dondarrions don't have Dawn. Yeah, Dawn is like, it's like the equivalent of like 10,000 men right there. Maybe the episodes are 30 minutes. That's true. Did Otto go rogue after the Maester conspiracy? It seems so out of line to try to put his own family into the conflict. It isn't indirect enough. I mean, I suppose the idea is that with the Maester conspiracy, that the Hightowers are so all in, that they are willing to sacrifice their family members for the greater good. And this is the equivalent. You kind of say like, oh, who's willing to sacrifice their family members for the greater good? And it's like, well, every person that sends their child off to war is sacrificing their family for what they perceive as the greater good, right? So, I mean, the idea is that, somehow these Hightowers, really, really care about this situation so much that they would put Alicent in there. But it might also be that the Maesters are like lying to the Hightowers. Like maybe they think that war can be avoided and that they can get rid of dragons in another method or something. But it does seem that like conflict, conflict was inevitable, or not inevitable, but the intention of the Maesters with by creating the division with the Hightower faction. So I mean, you'd have to have Otto being just a fucking utter like just a true believer in like, we got to fucking get rid of dragons, and I'm willing to sacrifice my fucking family for this. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy shit, man. It's crazy stuff. But yeah. Did Pence go rogue by certifying the election? No, I mean, he did his job. What's weird is he actually ended up calling up Dan Quayle, and he talked to Dan Quayle about it. And Dan Quayle, who is of course Republican vice president, who signed over everything to Bill Clinton because he was president of the Senate at the time, was like, no, dude, you have no authority to do anything, dude. Like, just like, it's not an option. Like, don't worry. Like, so it's there's Pence did what he was supposed to do. He did the minute. Keep in mind that Pence is an asshole outside of this. I mean, he wanted like, fetus funerals in Indiana and shit. Like, but not going along with a coup hardly makes one a rogue. The coup is the thing that's going against things, not the dude doing his regular ceremonial job. There should be a whole season after Rey's death. Make it the Red Wedding of House of the Dragon. There's enough plot and characters to continue the story without her. Ray, are we talking about Star Wars? What are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about Rhaenyra here. I'm sorry. We're talking about Rhaenyra. There should be a whole season after Rhaenyra's death. Make it the whole Red Wedding of House of Dragon. There's enough plot and characters to continue the story without her. Yes, there is. Though I think that the heart and soul of the show is Rhaenyra. I do agree with you. Like the source material, Rhaenyra dies relatively early. Like, we've got 6 months of Aegon rules after that. Not to mention like Hour of the Wolf and then the Regency. There's a lot of fucking material that you can cover if you introduce these other characters and people become attached to them. Absolutely. But I would think that they've set up the show as Rhaenyra is the main character, Alicent's the main character, Daemon's the main character. So I imagine that when you get to the end, you're going to have a time speeding up again. Like, that you're going to have a big climax with Daemon dying, maybe a couple episodes, and then Rhaenyra, and then like everything fast forwards, and you have things fast at that point. But there's but they could. I mean, this is the thing: is everything depends on these producers, right? And the state of HBO at the time and what they're willing to fund and things like that. If House of the Dragon is all they got, But the thing is, they make money on subscriptions. So like having more episodes doesn't make them money. If people have that subscription to HBO, they have it. So like, why not have fewer episodes if the people are still going to have their subscriptions? So they don't necessarily have any motivation to have more episodes. See, with network TV, it was different. Each episode had its own advertising. So the more episodes you had, the more money you're pulling in, because you're making money directly from the advertising that is in the episode. And new episodes obviously get many more views than reruns. And so make the season as long as you can. Have as many episodes as you can, because that's more advertising revenue for every episode. But when you're on a subscription model, there's no motivation to have more episodes. Like, there's nothing to say like, well, let's do 10 when you can do 8, when you can do 6 and make just as much money or nearly as enough, you know? I mean, technically, yeah, you could have like crossing over into another month guarantees somebody that monthly subscription, but a lot, you know, but they have their own calculations on how likely someone is to cancel and things like that. So, but yeah, it's too bad about the incentives now. It's a little different now. 6 episodes, 5 weeks, requires 2 months. Yeah, I mean, you try to get what if you get, but you can stretch 6 episodes over 3 months, right? Last episode of 1 month, 4 in 1 month, 1 in 1 month. So you could do 3 months with 6 episodes. If you have 8, you can still only do 8 in 3 months. And then 10 you can do in 4 months. So you have some slight economics to it, but you know. The downside of capitalism. The only downside is streaming economics ruining House of the Dragon. It's the only downside. All right, guys, it is a little past midnight. I'm gonna head to bed. Thank you all for being with me tonight and talking through Cersei and Tyene and things like that. And I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for being with me. Later.